Hola, bienvenidos. Buenas noches, buenas tardes, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, welcoming you to En Casa con La Plaza. These are our demonstrations, presentations, performances, and conversations. Tonight it's going to be a great one. If you've joined us on Zoom, please use the chat feature. You could ask questions, make comments. We'll take them after the conversation. Those of you on Facebook, do the same. Use the comment section there to make comments, ask questions. We'd like to know where you're viewing from, please. Let's see. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Union Pacific Foundation and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Before we get started with the happy hour, let me give you an update what's going on in La Plaza. Been open every day except for Tuesdays, noon to 5 during the week, 10 to 5 on weekends. La Tienda Gift Store is also open for your buying pleasure. All of our exhibitions are open except one, which one of our galleries is currently closed because we're actually installing a new exhibition called LA Memo Chicana Chicano Art from 1972 to 1981, organized by Ultimate, La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, and co-curated by guest curator Rafael Barrientos Martinez. It's an exhibition investigating how Chicano artists adapted new modes of image making to create a pivotal genre of art called Chicana art. All right. Also, our newest museum, La Cocina, is open. That's Monday through Friday, 12 to 5, with the inaugural exhibition, Mice, Past, Present, and Future. I mean, how could you miss all the broadcasts, all the good press we've gotten? KTLA Morning News this past Wednesday, on LA Weekly, KCRW's Good Food. It's an incredible space, not only a museum, but also a teaching kitchen and a tiendita. Okay, with that, let's bring our host with the most, Dan Guerrero himself. Please join us, Dan.
I'm on my, there I am. I'm a little off today. I don't know why. So I hope it does not bode well, but I'll be fine. Don't you worry about it.
We're not worried at all, Dan. You made it, and that's the good part.
Listen, Rafael, who's curating the Ultimate sponsor, the thing, exhibition you just mentioned, right? He's a very bright young man. I met him recently. You know, very smart, very talented. I love meeting young Latino talent, that next generation coming up, you know, because some of us are, and so I love meeting those young people. That show should be fantastic.
And everybody will have an opportunity to meet him. We're having an open reception there at La Plaza next Friday from 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. It's free of charge. Just come on down. We'd love to meet you all.
I'll be in New York. Otherwise, I would be there. I'm sorry, but I you know what? Coincidentally, that leads me into our next guest. Since we're talking about New York, we're going to be starting a kind of there he is. We're going to be doing a salute to our brothers and sisters in New York, specifically on Broadway and theater. But we're starting with Broadway babies. We're going to do a few, you know, every few shows. We're going to go to New York and via Zoom. And Danny Bolero is currently on Broadway. He's an Angelino, by the way. He's currently on Broadway with Sarah Jessica Parker in the Neil Simon play Plaza Suite. But he did In the Heights. He did Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. He did lots of stuff here in LA, was going back and forth, and eventually just settled in New York, and he's done really well. So that'll be the first in our series of Broadway babies. So that'll be fun, don't you think?
Oh, it'll be incredibly fun. And speaking of fun and speaking of theater, let's talk about something that's coming up as a fundraiser for La Plaza.
Oh, I was going to do it during the show, but if you want to shove it in now, that's fine.
Let's do it now while we're here.
Wow, but now it sounds like a commercial instead of coming out organically, like I worked hard to do. There we go. Ana in the Tropics, our guest tonight, the fabulous Rose Portillo, is in, as a matter of fact, I think she's in rehearsals as we speak, not only overall, but as we speak. And on the Saturday, April 9th, there's going to be a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. There's going to be a Cuban-inspired reception at A Noise Within in Pasadena, where the play will be. And then the 2 p.m. matinee, and it is all to benefit La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. So I'm sure Abelardo will give us how to order tickets and all that, but the play is magnificent. Rose Portillo is magnificent. And I think we should bring her on pretty soon. Enough with you and me.
All right, I'm out of here. Well, I did post the link right there. It's lapca.networkforgood.com and a bunch of letters and words after that. So click on that. Not now. Wait until after the broadcast.
Not now. I feel like we're completely out of control tonight. You know.
And also, if you hang around, everybody out there, we just had an offer by Raul Espinosa for 2 free tickets to On in the Tropics. So hang around, okay? We'll talk about that later.
I'm going to take them though. Okay. So make it 4, Raul. See you in a minute. Well, as I mentioned, our guest tonight is a multi-fascinating and multifaceted career in theater and in film. She's an educator, she's an actor, she's a writer, she's a director, and she's an amazing visual artist, but not with a paintbrush. Although she does that as well. She works in mosaics, which are spectacular and altars. So we're going to talk about her career, her work as a visual artist, her mentoring. And I love this woman. Everybody does. You know, there's people like Pepe Serna, who was recently on, but everybody loves them. Everybody loves Rose Portillo. So zoom in, girl, and let's talk. There you are.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I know you're in rehearsal, and you might even be at the theater. Are you at the theater?
I am at the theater. You've been to my home, so you know that color is important to Rose Portillo. And I'm in a conference room at A Noise Within, which is a dream of a theater organization as well as a theater space.
Yes.
But they have white walls everywhere in their conference room. So I quickly ran downstairs to the costume shop and grabbed some fabric because white is not acceptable for representation of Rose Portillo.
Correct. Good God. Wow, you are multi. I'm surprised you didn't do a mosaic wall.
If I just had an extra 10 minutes.
Well, you know what? If Raul Espinosa, I know. Well,
how many? Can we toast now?
Yeah, let's toast now, honey.
It is happy hour. Well, apparently we need it.
I told you I'm a little off kilter tonight, but I'm going to be fine. Don't you panic. It's going to be great. Rose will keep me in style. As long as you're there in the theater, let's talk about Anna in the Tropics and the playwright Nilo Cruz, who got the Pulitzer Prize for drama. I think he was the first Latino ever, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right, but
yeah. So you're doing the play, and you're right, by the way, about A Noise Within. I've seen lots of productions there. They are a class act down there. So
they're a real role model, I think, just nationally. They're just a real role model. I could not be more impressed.
Now you've not done this play before, and you're playing Della. Why don't you tell people a little bit about it? I know
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Do you know what you called me? You called me Della.
Oh, Della, that's Zoot
Suit. So sweet. That's Zoot Suit.
Ophelia.
Ophelia, yes.
You say tomato, I say tomato. I mean, who the hell cares, right? I mean, but
Nilo Cruz cares.
That's right. Wow. So let's have another toast while we're at it. Oh my God. Someone bring in a lion tamer. The play takes place in the 1920s in a cigar factory in Florida. And it's multi-layered and
it's very layered. You know, they're in Tampa, they're outside of Ybor City, which was just a real place of Puerto Ricanos and Cubanos who came and settled and made a life. And, you know, cigars were a big deal. And I've been learning how to roll cigars.
Wow.
Yes, we will smoke one. We will, because we're doing it right. We've been taught well and, you know, still practicing, but nonetheless, smokable. So that's really fun. And
tell us about your character. Tell us about Ophelia.
Well, I can say that she's the matriarch.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. You know, there was a time when the play first came out, I could have played Conchita, maybe even Marela, but not anymore. So now I'm Ophelia.
Yeah, but you know what? And I don't want to jump ahead, but what the hell? We can do whatever we want. I so admire that in you because you have, I hate to use the word age, but you have aged gracefully,
Oh,
and
thank
and
you.
and you have, I would imagine, you have new roles to explore that you wouldn't do if you'd had a nip and a tuck and dyed your hair and tried to look 25 like some people who we will not
There is a
mention.
little tucking I wouldn't mind, but
I know.
but
I always say I used to love
first.
turtlenecks, and now I have one. So it happens. But I do admire that you have gone with life as it should be, and it's opening roles up that you would not have ordinarily played. So I love that. I love that.
Well,
Um,
this play too, Nilo did a really lovely thing at a young age and just honored women and the range of women. And I am at my age used to the background role, right? The okay, we have to have a mom, we have to have a grandmother, and so she comes in, she does her one scene, and then the story continues.
yeah.
Um, but Ophelia is very integrated into the fabric of this play. He really balanced all the characters. There's no perfunctory, gratuitous character in this play. So it's such a wonderful ensemble piece, and it's such a piece of poetry. It's a delight. It's just a delight to work on this. Yeah.
Hence the Pulitzer Prize for drama.
Right? Yeah.
Right? They
Well
don't,
earned. Well
yeah,
earned.
they don't give them out easily. I do want to say it runs March 20th through April 17th. And we already talked about that special benefit for La Plaza on, what was that date? It was on the flyer.
Yes.
April 9th, Saturday, April 9th. That
Okay.
reception sounds cool, Cuban reception, and then getting to see the matinee. I'll be there, so I'll check out Ophelia, and I'll give you my notes at that time.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted.
I'll ignore them. I'll be
Well,
sure
yeah.
to ignore them. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you're a wise woman. That's why, because you're wise. Now, your roots are, you've done film and television, but your roots really have always been in the theater. And of course, your big breakthrough role was in Zoot Suit.
Yeah.
And that was, wow, the late 70s, right? There you are with Danny Valdez.
78.
78. Look at you there.
Mm-hmm. Little baby. She's just a little.
You were a baby. Now that when Eddie almost did the happy hour, he talked about his audition, which was fascinating. I mean, it was so interesting, the callbacks and all that. Did you audition for that leading role as Henry Reina's girlfriend, or did you just go in?
I did. No, no. I was nobody. I was a little bit of somebody. I had gotten a very lovely role. Do you remember Police Story? Dan?
Yeah, sure.
And so Police Stories at the time were they were really 2-hour movies, TV movies, and a different cast each time. And so I had landed one of those, and it was a really beautiful piece, and one of the first times where I was surrounded by Latinos of all shapes and sizes, and it was a very rare moment. Richard Iniguez was the lead cop in that story. And so I had done that. And then I got the opportunity to audition for Luis. And when I was in college, I had been part of a small group that were curious about Teatro Campesino and invited them to come and perform. And watching the performance, it was like I had no idea what I had been missing. And my soul just opened up and was fed. So when I got a call to audition for this play, and realized that it was Luis Valdez, I was like, ah. So Della was a little different, written a little different then. She was a very tough chick, very Pachuca-like. And Luis then sort of, Bertha became the Pachuca character, and I became Della became the innocent. But nonetheless, I mean, I did what I could, and I put my whole heart and soul into, I don't even remember what moment I auditioned with, but at the end, I just looked at Luis and I went, I don't care what happens. I'm just so happy to meet you. You know? And then, you know, I got to go back in the room and work on creating this piece, because it was a draft. And
so you really had not done any stage at all prior, didn't you?
My training was in stage. My training was stage.
Right.
I had done a little small theater in LA already. So that's always where I am the most at home, because process is part of a theatrical experience. You don't show up and step in and do it. You show what you are capable of in your audition, but the days, the weeks, the hours that you spend working on the script is really to take the time to step inside the language and the space and the role and the story. And time is taken. We have actually, you know, theatrically, the way the business has shifted, we are robbed of that more and more.
Yes.
Which is horrible, you know. But nonetheless, we still get more time than we do when we're working on a film or television. So.
Yeah. But most of that wonderful original cast, they were fairly green, most of them. They hadn't done a great deal at all.
No. And especially not in regional theater.
Yeah.
You know, we'd all been doing our own small things here and there. You know, we were babies, we were green, we were
and you were authentic. You were authentic. That was a big deal, because you were all Chicanos. The Chicano movement was not that long ago at that time.
And we all were young enough to, we all had members of our family who had been through the Zoot Suit era.
Sure.
So it was personal, it was close. When we did the revival, Danny and I were the old wise ones, realizing that they were so far removed from the experience. We had to put on our lector hats and really try and convey the experience that we had been through, but then also the experience of Zoot Suit, because they don't grow up with it. They don't.
Correct. It's a very different animal. We have a photo of you with Danny in the revival, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Do we have that, Abelardo? Look at that.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying, how beautiful. You know, you were the beautiful young girl, and now you're the beautiful woman.
I played my mother-in-law.
Oh, on purpose? On purpose?
No, Della's mother-in-law, right?
Oh,
that the character-wise.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I love a quote, Luis Valdez, who of course wrote and directed. And it really was, when the play opened, it's really true. He said Chicano theater became American theater.
Yes. And it is.
It is, just like we are Americans, but it's still a battle.
It is still a battle. It's like, hello.
Isn't that annoying? I'm really just a little pissed off about all that. You know, how long is it going to take? But that's a whole other show. Let's stay wonderful here.
Happy.
Yes, happy. Now, you grew up here in LA. I know we have a very cute little Rose photo here. You grew up where? Did you grow up in LA?
Silver Lake.
Silver Lake.
I live in the house I was born into.
Oh, that's not pretty,
There she is.
Abelardo.
She's up there. She was up there. Come on, bring her down. Because there's something about this
There
photograph.
you go. Look at that little face. What were you saying, Miha? What were you saying?
Well, I'm 2 years old. This is, of course, the house looks nothing like this now, but it's still, because it's, yeah, okay, because Rose Portillo, as an adult, got her hands on the house. Um, but I'm 2 years old in the same backyard that I walk through every day. And apparently my mother told me about this photograph and said that I had just been walking, and apparently I had figured out, as kids do, smile for the camera. So I went upstairs by myself, and I grabbed that hat and I grabbed that blanket and I wrapped it around me and I put it on, and then I went to my mother and I said, take my picture.
Wow. So you were ready for your close-up.
Yes, yes. So really, this is when it began. And,
Wow.
but I also, I look at her now, and I know she's me, but I know, so what I say is that's who I want to be when I grow up. That just sheer innocent joy. I'm self-possessed. I know who I am. I'm not afraid. I can go grab the thing and say, this is who I am. Would you please make sure that you and I both remember who I am? And I'm just 2 years old. And I think most of us at 2 actually know that.
Oh, I totally agree. I've said many times, I walk up the street to my local Gelson's, and there's always trams, and some kids are like, they're just sitting there, they're, being pushed. And some kids are looking and looking and looking and checking. And you can really see the difference. The ones that are just grabbing it all and saying, now, what the hell is this? And what is going on here? And they're soaking it in. And others just kind of, and they remain like that. They go through life fairly unconscious. I'm not judging. I'm just saying they're different. I don't want to get nasty letters. They're just, people are different. Some are very self-aware.
Well, I would argue with you. And,
okay.
And I would say that's how it looks. That's how it looks to you. There are other things going on that we don't know. There's always the story that we don't know.
Always.
And that's part of the opening up to humanity and making space and grace for, I have a judgment. I'm always going to have a judgment. It's who we are. But I can hold back my bias or my acting on the judgment that I have in the moment, because there's too much I don't know. And, I work with so many youth, and the way the shyness and the fear looks, I often have the internal reaction, I just want to and wake you up, and why don't you care, and blah, blah, blah. And then it just follow through with the program, trust the process, follow through with what you planned. And then little by little, I realized, no, they just don't, they may not know how to connect in the moment, but the potential for connection is always present. And the fact that the information is being taken in, right? But the lens might be different because of the story we don't know. So there's the extroverts that as children, and as a child, I was really extroverted. But as I grew, and with my own traumas and experiences and all, I became super shy.
Yes, of course. Life does that. Life can do that. And then you got to work your way back out.
Yeah, yeah. But still, get me on that stage, and I can step into somebody and I can tell a story because I can make a connection. But I needed a little, well, I don't know how much help I needed. I mean, I kind of really, that picture is at 2 years old, and by 3, I knew I was going to be a storyteller. I knew that. I just didn't tell anybody because somehow I also knew not to tell people because they didn't know what I meant.
Right.
You know, they didn't know what I meant. They thought that, you know, being an actor, being an artist was, why would you do that?
No artists in your family?
Well, I was about to say no, but the truth is, my grandfather, the Portillo grandfather, worked for Columbia and Paramount as a scenic artist.
Oh.
He did not consider himself an artist. He did not. His wife did not consider himself an artist, and was a little ashamed of the fact that he was a blue collar man. He could make a blank piece. Just a blank piece of wood, and suddenly a chair that just somebody threw together, and suddenly it's a throne. Suddenly they brought him out of retirement to run the ranch for Columbia. So he was highly respected. But I didn't grow up with that knowledge because my father, the doctor, was the career that mattered. And my grandfather was seen as a working man, a working class citizen. So, but he had great pride and integrity.
Did you know him? Did you know him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I took care of him in his last days. Yeah. No, he was complicated.
You never got to talk about that? Did you ever talk about that?
Not specifically enough. And he didn't feel that there was much to say. I didn't know at the time what I know now, which is how to push someone to tell their story. Right? You can do it for other people, and then you realize, oh, I could do this with my family. Oh, they're all dead. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah. I know. We all look back. I wish I'd talked to I only had my dad's parents. My mom lost her dad when she was 5, and her mom when I was a week old. So I didn't know them. But one time he started talking about the Mexican Revolution. And when they first came, he was brought by the Southern Pacific Railroad to Tucson. And because they were looking for skilled labor, and they brought people up from Mexico. And he was
El Paso,
yeah,
LA. Yep.
yeah. And
They
I
all
remember
went to the
thinking
railroad.
how fascinating and how interesting, and how this isn't way back in the history books. My grandfather lived it, and I was so sorry that I had all those years and all the stories I could have heard, I didn't, and as you say, now they're all gone, and so are the stories with them.
Well, both my grandfathers and then grandmother and my mom's side of the family were all from Isleta, Texas. Isleta del Sur, which is now incorporated into El Paso. But just a wonderful small pueblo town. And we're Tiwa. We're Tiwa, I'm sure on both sides. But my mom's grandfather would say, I was in school and we went out marching to salute Benito Juarez, and Benito Juarez came, and God damn it, I didn't get an autograph so that people would believe me. Like, we believe you.
Wow, Benito Juarez, oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah, Pancho Villa came through, Benito Juarez came. We were just, oh my God, and I didn't get their autographs.
That is hilarious.
My great aunt, I found this amazing photograph. I should have sent it to you. So she's in her 90s, and my mom and I went to spend a couple of weeks to help take care of her. She was an amazing, amazing woman, and she'd had a stroke. So speech was difficult. I'm going through these old photographs, and they're just gorgeous. I found the album, and there is a photograph. I know it's my aunt. She is dressed beautifully. she's got a huge hat, and she's got a rifle in her hand.
Yeah, soldadera,
And I
soldadera.
went,
Wow.
Auntie? Because I grew up, this was the prim and proper one that you watched how you spoke, you watched your manners, you know, you didn't want Aunt Flora mad at you. And she goes, oh yeah, we'd go across the border and feed Pancho Villa's men.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But they didn't just cross the border and feed them. I mean, it was a moment of deep pride, and they were in their Sunday best to do it.
Oh yeah. Wow. See how close that history is. It's not 5 generations ago. It's right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I love those stories. I love those stories. Oh, here, let's drink to your tia, Flora.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a solo play about her that I really think I should do again.
Yes, you must.
Yeah.
You must.
Yeah.
You must. You're one of the people that can do a solo show. Not everybody can be watched for an hour and a half and keep people's attention. So you don't have to worry about that. That's for sure. Let's shift gears and talk about a little film. Some people have heard of it, called Encanto.
Oh, Encanto.
And I know you voiced Señora Guzman, but you also were very involved with, much more involved. Tell us about that.
With Abuela Alma.
Yeah, Abuela Alma.
Yeah. I was so happy and proud, and so for 2 years I worked on with the writers and directors, worked on developing the character of Abuela Alma. So my voice was used in her creation.
You're right.
But you know, it was important that a Colombiana voiced that character.
Wow.
But it just, if one has not seen it, it's a revolutionary telling. It really is about when people have to flee. And I'm so pleased that they didn't take that part of the story away.
Yeah.
And what I did share when I had my after cocktail with Jared, one of the writer and directors, I said, I know that, you know, I got to see a lot of drafts.
Yeah.
And always, it was so easy to step in to the role and to give. And I said, I understand. There was Encanto right now, it is about family, importantly so. It is about trauma and how a family survives trauma. And we see what some of it is, and we see how it got translated, and the acknowledgement of it, and so the transformation. And what I am looking forward to, because I'm so happy that it is such a big deal, that audiences are responding nationally, regardless of
Sure.
ethnicity. People, humanity is responding to this story all over the world. And so the reason that these children have these powers is because their lineage was in service to community.
Yes.
So the family is in service to community. And what I look forward to is the next installment, where we get to see how they embrace community and use their gifts for it's there, but the story is really about family, which is deeply important, and how they come together and how they deal with acknowledging the stress of trying to be perfect and trying to do what's right, Yeah. So anyway, I also got to create and voice Señora Guzman. So
Yeah.
I look forward to more of Señora Guzman.
Yes, I could have seen. I just saw the film
She's
about
very,
a
she's
week
very,
ago.
she's very quick.
I know, and I said, "What the hell? That's Rose Portillo."
Don't you know it's Rose Portillo? How can you only give her a minute?
That's right. That's right. You need a better agent, honey. You need a better agent. So don't tell me who yours is. I don't want them pissed at me either. I want to talk about another film, very, very important film that not as well known, 1994, And the Earth Did Not Swallow Him, based on the novel by Tomas Rivera. I mean, that is a very important film. Our beautiful friend, everybody's in that.
Yeah, everybody's in it.
Yeah, Lupe
Yeah,
Ontiveros, Margaret,
here.
everybody. Tell us about this film and why it was so important. It is an important film in our history.
Don't help me with names. Tomas Rivera, no?
Tomas Rivera.
Tomas Rivera was the author. It was the first bilingual book written. It's about farm workers and about his experience as a child. I mean, it's novelized, of course, but it is based in his reality. And again, it's family and family surviving their circumstances. And
their son was lost in Korea. The son is lost in Korea.
One son
Right,
is lost in Korea.
right, yeah.
And you know, this was they had their home, and then they would board up their home and follow the fields and make their living, and then spend a few months back going to school, regular schools, and all of that. But it's an award-winning film.
Yes, many awards.
And it's a little surprising to me that it's not a well-known film.
Yes, it's got lost in the shuffle. Chicano Studies, I know, probably work with it, but that's
not often and not now. They always do Zoot Suit, but I have to kind of go, have you heard of And the Earth Did Not Swallow?
Yeah, that was an important film. And I do want to talk about, because you've done so many roles. I mean, we could talk to 72 hours just on
Not enough.
I know, but I want to do this. We're gonna look at a couple of photos, and I want you to give me your thoughts about them. This first one is Wood Demon, and you're quite young. Look at that beautiful girl. Well, you're still beautiful, but tell us, where was this?
So this was at the Taper, the Mark Taper Forum. I was a founding member of the Antilles Company, and we would rehearse a bunch of actors getting together to work on the classics, and Gordon agreed. We agreed to let us.
Gordon Davidson, who was
the artistic director of the Taper at the time, of CTG at the time, gave us a shot, said, all right, go do something on that stage. And it is such a beautiful play. It is Chekhov's first version of Uncle Vanya. And it's Uncle Vanya with a happy ending. And in fact, there's a wonderful story of a Russian prince comes to see the play, had seen the One Demon, and then sees Uncle Vanya, and he goes backstage and he goes to Chekhov and Chekhov says, so what did you think? And he says, you ruined your Wood Demon. Anyway, it's just, I got to play Sonia, and I got to have my doctor at the end. It's such a talented group of actors, and it was just an absolute joy. But I will also say that it was, we were doing colorblind casting at the time, and double casting also to try and say. At the time, it was very difficult, especially in Los Angeles, to do a play because you were forced to say no to film or television. So we were trying to say, we will cover each other with
I see.
with
I see.
with excellence. This
Uh-huh.
will be a company of excellence, and we will cover each other. So that was part of the strategy at the time. But nonetheless, I didn't want to disappear. I wanted it to be noted that I was a Chicana playing Sonia in a Russian play, in a world classic. I thought it was important that that be noted. So the Taper PR worked with me, and the box office people worked with me, and so we worked hard and created a matinee experience that was all targeted for the Latino community, and we filled that house with a
Fantastic.
Latino audience. Yeah, it was really important, you know. And I called in Severo, and I went, "Get people," you know. It's like.
Well, Gordon Davidson was a visionary. I mean, really, he did so much, don't you think, for diversity and everything?
No, I do. He made space. He made
Yes,
space.
he made space.
He didn't always make enough space in terms of the main stage, but he did give us a home. I knew I could call and I could get rehearsal space, and I knew that I would have deep conversations in the hallways with fellow artists. Mm-hmm. Of diversity, of great diversity.
And then we have one. No, don't.
No, I'm not.
Here, let's toast again, honey. And I won't tell your director. Do you have to go back to rehearsal after that?
I do, but
Yikes.
I think I'm good. They'll come get me.
Okay, we'll talk faster.
No, we're good.
And this one, Seguin. Come on.
I love that photograph. It's just so pretty.
Oh my God, look at it. That's A. Martinez, and look at you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that was
was American
Playhouse.
It was American Playhouse. Yeah.
American Playhouse, KCET produced. They used to do it back in those days. Yes, a lot.
There was commitment to diversity back.
Yes, that's because Jesus
got rid of it. Okay, not going to go there. But
Jesus Trevino, who was a god, directed this, and he was doing things at KCT, Rosemary Alderete, that whole group, and this local PBS station was addressing our community.
Yes. And this is a character, again, that why don't we know about him? Not enough people know about him, but he was the first Latino mayor of San Antonio.
This is 1982 is when you did Seguin.
Yeah. But I'm just talking.
No, I know. But I'm saying that it was the late 70s and the early mid 80s where KCET seemed committed to that.
Yes, and then they got rid of the program.
Yep. And let's not go there. But and then we have one more. I love this one. Talk about the Doña. Let's see what we have here. Look at her. I saw this, right? This was at the San Gabriel Mission.
Yes, we had done it. So the play is They Shoot Mexicans, Don't They? Teresa Chavez and I wrote it. There were a couple of iterations of the play. The very first one, I played 3 characters, and the male lead played 3 characters, and it was a 2-actor play. So this was lovely. And this time we did it site specific. It is about the 20s and when the movie industry moved to Los Angeles, moved west, right? And it's also about the making of the San Gabriel Playhouse. So it's California, it's Mexicano, it's it's white people who don't know anything, who are foreigners and just want to make a movie. and how we walk into that mindset, how we don't realize we're being co-opted. And even when it's unintentional, it's still happening. So, but we did it at the San Gabriel Playhouse, and the audience moved through the San Gabriel Playhouse and then wound up on that main stage. Right. But you went into a rehearsal room, and you went to a rehearsal. It was just lovely. And my greatest joy was that I did this coming off of Zoot Suit, the revival, and had bonded and also watched this young crop of actors. And so they all came with me. And so all the cast was from Zoot Suit, the revival, and Peter Howard, who is a founding member of Cornerstone Theater, who's a dear, dear friend. And you know, we never get to work together. So I was able to bring him in, and we got to work together. It was just fabulous. And,
it was wonderful.
You know, I worked with Teresa for over 26 years. And
that was about
production. Teresa Chapman.
And you, I want to point out, because you did everything. You sometimes act, you would write, you would direct, and again, mentoring a lot of young people. Right. You would do plays and musicals. I saw something you did.
I created the youth education program, which was hands-on, working with continuation high school students in mostly in East LA, but various places.
Which you also carried into Pomona and the programs you've done there. And I think we have a photo of some of the young people there, some high school people and some from college. And tell us about this.
Well, somebody was paying attention, because I went to Pomona College, I graduated, I lived my life. And then many years later, I got a phone call about doing. So I went to have a conversation with the chair at the time, and the phone call was about creating a course that would be working with youth. And I went, well, what became clear was that they wanted children's theater, like, you know, performing for little kids.
Sure.
And I went, I don't do that. So
nor do I want to.
Well, and I can find you people, but James Taylor said, who was running who was chair at the time, said, well, before, stop, you're here. Tell me what it is you do. So he got interested. So what it has become, and also my realizing, I love working with young people. It's very challenging, and I love working with young people who, it's not conservatory. It's not those that know what they want to do in life, but it is about bringing the experience of art making to young people.
And it doesn't mean they're all going to go into the business.
No, I don't care about that. But I care.
What they learn.
That they approach whatever they do in life.
Yes.
With an artistic lens.
Correct.
That I care about.
Correct.
And, you know, we have removed I grew up with the arts integrated into my education. And that has been completely removed.
Yes.
So most of the teachers that teach, also, I get a lot of resistance because they grew up in that era also, without arts. Yeah. It's something, it's that. So we do adaptations of Shakespeare. We do original work. I brought everything that I know how to do, I bring, and make a choice as to what the focus is going to be any particular year. But what I was going to say is, of course, the realization that as you get older, that if you really care and you want the work to go on, you have to train other people to do it. So I'm teaching college students how to make theater with younger students. And we focus on middle school and high school. But many of my students work with younger students. And so they take what I give and they translate it to work with younger students as well. So I began with middle school and college, and then the college students are responsible for shepherding, for designing, because we don't have time to teach the high schoolers how to design and do all the other elements. But we bring them to the college and they get to perform in a theater at a private school I'm working with high schools in the city of Pomona. So Claremont is a mile away, but Claremont is a very privileged community.
Yes. The
city of Pomona is not. So it's about giving Pomona, the city, the youth of Pomona City, access to a privileged situation, and privileged young people a reality check. And they all start collaborating together and working together and connecting as human beings. And yeah.
And you're still doing, you've been there since 07 at Pomona doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fit it all in.
I don't either.
Huh?
I don't either. I mean, I'm adjunct, so this is the thing I do.
Right.
But it's a 24/7 thought process.
Of course. In the shower, while making chorizo con huevos, it's always going on. I know. Yeah. We're going to wrap with your work as a visual artist. Oh my God. Yes. Mosaic. Look at this.
So yeah, the wall will be pretty one day around it. But yeah, that's my backyard mural.
I know. We have another one here. Look at that.
That's my door. That's how you get into my house.
I know it. And your magic place where a certain time of the year you create altars, and one was very look at that. Do you remember that?
I do.
That had to be 05 because my dad had just passed, and you asked me to bring some things, and you see a poster up there. And when I walked through that door and I saw that altar, oh, it's humongous. That's incredible. I don't know how I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It was incredible. And you still do them. Do you still do them?
I do. I mean, COVID's been hard, obviously. It's 3 years I haven't done it, but that's hard. But this year, I was invited by Avenue 50, Kathy Gallegos. Well, actually, it was Consuelo Flores was curating the Day of the Dead, and so I was invited to do the main altar for there. So finally, in 2021, I got to do
Get
that
back.
again. Yeah. I couldn't open the house yet. I couldn't do the home altar, but I could do that because I needed to connect with the outside world again, visually. Yeah. Well,
and even you're back on stage and everything. That was extremely difficult for everybody, whatever your profession.
I mean, we rehearsed masked. Yeah. And the day before yesterday, I just looked at one of my fellow actors and I went, I'm considering a mask mutiny. I'm done. I am sick of looking at your eyes and nothing else.
Yeah.
And tonight.
That has to affect your creative process, has to.
So tonight is the first day. We all took COVID tests. We do it twice a week, and I think it was 3 times a week, but now it's twice. And tonight's going to be the first night without a mask.
Ay, 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 ay. And is this the first play back in the theater since COVID, or have they done productions prior? Do you know?
They have I'm not sure if it was the first one, but they just did As You Like It.
Mm,
So that cast went through the same process.
yeah. Wow.
They didn't see each other until the week before.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But that has to really, cramp your style as you're creating and connecting. And it's
When
just,
you've got
it's
the
ridiculous.
stranger, it's weird. It's weird.
Well, I will see you at the fancy reception and fun because Raul Espinosa is going to put aside a pair for me, and we're going to what we're going to give away a pair tonight. Is that I didn't follow Abelardo? Abelardo, you want to scoot back?
It's there. I think he just put it in the chat.
Hello there. Yes, I'm back. Raul, he's very kindly, he'd like to give away a pair of tickets to Anna in the Tropics for opening night, Saturday, March 26th at 8 p.m. So
How do people get them?
Well, hold on, Dan.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm
Cállate ya, cállate.
If
I'm
you're on
sorry,
Zoom,
Tia Flora. I'm
on-
sorry, Tia Flora.
those of you on Zoom, write down your name right now, and I will get to you write your name on the chat, and you'll be the first one. Or if you're on Facebook, write your name on the comment section, and you'll be the first one. Let's see. Any takers? Any takers? There you go. Tomas Benitez.
Ah!
Oh, I might have known. He's always looking for freebies.
All right. Okay, Tomas, we'll get a hold of you and we'll make sure the tickets come to you. And sorry, Laura
Fabulous,
Esquivel,
fabulous.
sorry,
We love
Roberta
Tomas.
Martinez. Too late.
Oh,
Tomas
Roberta.
has those fast fingers.
Oh, Roberta, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Oh, okay. So we have some Q&A. So this poor lady can, yeah. Do we have some questions there, Abelardo?
I think all the questions have been answered because there's nothing, no takers. Let's
Wow.
No. Hi, Roberta.
Well, America Aleman here on Facebook says she would love to come, except only if she was in LA. So, but you have how long is the run? Do you know, Rose?
Until the 17th of April. April
right.
17th.
Right, March 20th to April 17th, and the fundraiser is on the Saturday, April 9. So I'll see Tomas there.
Yes, but you didn't win tickets. You might not make it to the reception, but tickets are still available for Anna in the Tropics. I'm going to go ahead and put one more time the link to the reception. That way you could watch a wonderful play plus contribute to La Plaza's, to our, so I could get paid too. All right.
What? They pay you? I can't believe it.
Yeah, I do this for free. Everything else I get paid for. Okay, well, thank you so much, Rose. Thank you, Dan, as always. If you, Liz Espinoza, watching from Pasadena, thank you, Liz. If you didn't catch this entire episode, if you want to watch it again, we're posting it on our Facebook page, of course, on our YouTube page at La Plaza LA, and also on our website at lapca.org. You could watch all the 100,000 happy hours that Dan's hosted over the years on our YouTube site. They're all there. And let's see, we have a question here. What's next for Vida? Such an amazing opportunity to see ourselves as queer Latinas represented. Love your character.
Right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we didn't talk about some of those things. Yeah, Vida was quite special, to be sure. Pero ya se acabó. Se acabó.
There you go. That's what happened with Con Vida se murió. I'm sorry. All right. Well, Dan will be back in 2 weeks. Tell us
with
again.
With a Broadway baby, Danny Bolero.
Fabulous.
There you go. Danny Bolero.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Mija. I'll see you on the 9th of April.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Bye, Mija.
Ciao, baby.
Salud to all. Thank you all there for joining us tonight on En Casa con La Plaza. It's been a wonderful happy hour, as usual, every other Friday night with Dan Guerrero. Thanks again to our sponsors, Union Pacific Foundation, plus the Institute for Museum and Library Services. Visit La Plaza. We're open this weekend. We're open all next week. La Plaza Cocina, Monday through Friday from 12 to 5. It's open, museum, teaching, kitchen, and a little tiendita. So bring your debit card, credit card as well. Y con eso, muy buenas noches a todos. Roberto says, a fun way to support the arts. Angie Castro says, yay.
Hey!
Hey!
Adios. Buenas noches.
Bye-bye.